What is the worst Pokemon ROM hack out there? This is a question that I thought of about 2 weeks ago, so naturally, I decided to do some research and find out. The game that I saw people mention the most was Pokemon Dark Rising, due to its glitches and its unforgiving difficulty. However, that ROM hack has already been covered plenty of times here on YouTube. But there was another ROM hack that caught my attention, as some people stated that it's even worse than Pokemon Dark Rising. Pokemon Gold Sinnoh, a sort of Generation 4 demake, if that makes sense. This fan-made game is apparently filled with a terrible storyline, cringy dialogue, and events that are so random and just don't make sense. Additionally, this game has hardly been talked about on YouTube, so I figured I would go ahead and give it a try. So without further ado, it's time to see if Pokemon Gold Sinnoh really is as bad as everyone says it is. Now it's worth mentioning that I'm playing on the latest version, so a lot of things in this game have been improved. However, if you're curious as to what an earlier version looked like, the Dr. Fresh did a walkthrough of the game a while back. I watched a little bit of it, and it was pretty good. Anyways, I woke up in my bedroom, which for some reason had 4 beds in it, before saying hi to my mom. It turns out that we're in Twin Leaf Town, and Professor Elm is temporarily living in Sandgem Town since Professor Rowan is gone for whatever reason. After getting the Pokegear, I met the copycat girl, because she lives here for some reason, and made my way to Route 201. The path to Lake Verity was blocked off, so I wandered through the route, which didn't have a single grass tile in it. I mean, it makes sense considering that I don't have a single Pokemon yet. In Sandgem Town, Professor Elm offered us one of the 3 evolutions. This is honestly a really cool way to do the starters, as opposed to the traditional first stage fire, water, and grass types. I decided to choose Flareon before getting punched in the face by who I'm assuming is our rival. No, literally, he said punch with 3 exclamation points. Anyways, I made my way down to Route 219. Now in the regular Sinnoh region, Route 219 is just a water route, but here there's some grass and a trainer who had a Totodile and a Shuckle. There was also an underground tunnel, which just led to a max revive. I was then told to go to Mr. Pokemon's house, located in Lake Verity. There were some trainers in our way though, and one of them used a level 5 Ninetales and Arcanine. Not to mention, the Arcanine knew Fire Blast. Well, it's safe to say I'm glad I picked Flareon. Eventually, I reached the house, received the mysterious egg, and got the Pokédex from Professor Oak. I also just realized that the Pokemart sells some unique items in this game. For example, I bought a Soft Sand from the Sandgem Town Mart, so that's really cool. I then gave our rival the awesome name of question mark before showing the egg to Professor Elm, who mentioned that there are 16 gyms in this version of Sinnoh. Looks like we're in for a long journey. Before moving forward, I found myself a Squirtle on Route 219 and checked out the random tunnel under Mr. Pokemon's house. All that was down here were some items, but the rooms looked a lot like the Team Rocket hideouts. Maybe Mr. Pokemon is secretly working for Team Rocket. Route 202 featured a whole lot of nothing, so I entered Jubilife City. Here I received a free Shuckle from a random dude, learned that Lance beat Cynthia in order to become the champion, so she's now teaching kids at the trainer school, and got denied access to the radio tower. Off to the left was Route 218, home to some very overpowered youngsters. One owned a Snorlax, and another had a Mew. The task at hand, though, was to head north through Route 204 and defeat our rival in the Ravaged Path, so we could gain access to the radio tower. He already had a team of 4, including a Marill, Geodude, Sneasel, and his starter, who probably changes depending on the evolution that you chose. After an easy victory, I entered the radio tower, defeated a random Team Rocket grunt and some scientists in order to grab the coin case, which was needed to open the path to Route 203. This route wasn't too special, but in the Orberg Gate, I went down a ladder to find out that you can catch a static Lapras. However, I already owned a water type, so I just got out of there. Orberg City was mostly the same, besides the fact that it's now home to the Game Corner. Below the city sits the Orberg Mine Tunnel, where I caught a Larvitar and defeated this guy's Tyrogue and Heracross in a creepy pitch-black room. As a reward, he gave me his Tyrogue, and the gym was now opened up. One of the complaints I saw with this game is that the Sinnoh gym leaders have been replaced with the Johto ones, and there's no good explanation provided for why that is. But I don't really mind that, because we now get to battle the Johto gym leaders in a different order than usual. As you can see here, Claire was the first gym leader, so she used a Horsey, Dratini, Charmeleon, and Aerodactyl. I guess this is what her team would look like if she was the Violet City gym leader, as opposed to the Blackthorn City gym leader. Claire's attitude didn't change though, as she still wouldn't give us the Rising Badge until we got the Dragon Fang in the Valley Windworks. First, I had to grab the HM for Rock Smash from a Sage in the Rock Smash Club, where I also saw our rival. Floroma Town was just beyond the Ravaged Path, but there wasn't too much going on, so I moved on to the Floroma Meadow. A bunch of hikers challenged us to a fight, but after knocking them out, I entered the Fuego Ironworks, where Team Rocket was causing some trouble. It was here where I learned that the events in this game take place after the events of Diamond and Pearl, as some of the grunts mentioned that Team Galactic had failed years ago. Apparently, Team Rocket's whole goal is to shut down social media because it's bad for everyone. Weird motive, but at least it's different from the generic catch the legendary and conquer the region storyline. Also, our rival was chillin' in the Ironworks, and it turns out that he just joined Team Rocket before taking us on in a battle. His team remained the same from our first encounter, besides a Skarmory that he now owns. With all those shenanigans out of the way, it was time for Lieutenant Surge. That's right, the Valley Windworks is now home to the second gym in Pokemon Gold Sinnoh. His team of Raichu, Chinchou, Voltorb, Elekid, and Magnemite was kind of tough, but they were all in the low 20s, so we didn't have too many issues. After the fight, I headed to the basement, where Claire met us once I picked up the Dragon Fang, so we now officially have 2 badges under our belt. Upon leaving the gym, Professor Elm requested that I come back to the lab, and boy am I glad I did, because he gave us the Master Ball. In my opinion, it's way too early to receive this item, but I'm also not complaining. After venturing through the rest of Route 205, I headed inside the Eterna Forest, where I randomly met Dawn from the anime. She said that she's been on adventures with Ash, and we exchanged Pokegear numbers. Just not sure why she's here of all places. Anyways, the old chateau now plays home to Kurt, but Team Rocket took over the second floor. So I defeated some puny grunts before taking on the first admin, Brace. He had an Entei though. Yeah, I wasn't expecting that. Luckily, Wartortle hosed it down with Water Gun, but come on, a freaking Entei? At the entrance to Eterna City, our rival ambushed us, but it seems like he dropped 2 of his team members, so this fight was even easier than before. The city itself didn't really have much to it, besides the fact that it's where Professor Oak's second laboratory is. Off to the east was Route 211, where I got a free Eevee from Bill. Probably won't use it though. Inside of a small section of Mount Coronet, a guy gave us the HM4 Cut, which we'll need to access the Team Rocket base back in Eterna City. Bugsy was the gym leader here, but thanks to Larvitar's Rock Slide and Flareon's Ember, it was an easy win. I will say that Bugsy's team of Pinsir, Heracross, and Scizor is definitely what he should have had in the normal Johto games. Inside the Team Rocket base, our rival stopped us again, only to remind us that social media is bad or something like that. So it was time for another admin named Frederick. His team consisted of a Nidoking, Skarmory, and Raikou. Nah, seriously, where are they finding the legendary dogs? The bike shop was now open, so I grabbed myself a bike before making my way through the cycling road and Route 206. When I got to Hearthome City, I met Gary in the Pokemon Contest Hall. Apparently the place is now closed, but Gary said he's the gym leader over in the fight area. I'm assuming he'll be one of the final ones that we face. Gary's sister, Daisy, was also in town, and the Amity Square had a couple of trainers to battle. Additionally, the name raider was there, and I completely robbed this guy as I caught a Pikachu nearby and gave it to him in exchange for a Zapdos. This dude's name was Volcaner, so I can only believe that this is the 8th gym leader from the normal Sinnoh games. Can't believe he would be that dumb. Sabrina was the gym leader in Hearthome, and she utilized a Mr. Mime, Alakazam, and a Girafarig. Not gonna lie, this was probably the toughest gym battle up to this point, as her Alakazam knew Thunder Punch and Ice Punch, while her Girafarig somehow had Earthquake. Along Route 207 was the daycare, but other than that, it was time for the 5th gym in Solaceon Town, headed by Falconer. But thanks to my overpowered Zapdos, his Noctowl and Pidgeot didn't stand a chance. I then had to work my way up the Lost Tower in order to open up Route 210, which led to Veilstone City. In the basement floor of the department store, there was a teleporter that took me straight to the fight area, but all the surrounding routes and even the gym was closed. Don't get me wrong, it's cool that I could teleport there, but it was also pointless. Anyways, Chuck overtook Maylene as the city's gym leader, so it was time to battle him. But once again, Zapdos came in handy, so his Machamp and Poliwrath went down pretty easily. After taking care of some trainers on the routes prior to Pastoria City, I entered the Great Marsh to find that not only has the Safari game been cancelled, but Team Rocket has taken over the place. On the 2nd floor, Admin Alexandra was waiting for us with her Articuno, Espeon, and Stantler. This is probably the strongest Pokemon that I've ever seen an evil team use in a Pokemon game. At the bottom of Pastoria City, some guy handed me the Silver Wing. I wonder when that will come in handy. And when I entered the gym, a Team Rocket grunt came running out and told me to find the hidden machine part. I also wonder when that will come in handy. Anyways, Misty was the gym leader in town, and she wasn't too difficult because, come on, I have Zapdos. The Pokemon Mansion was another place that got overrun by Team Rocket members, including our rival who had a full team of 6. He still didn't give me too many issues, and outside in the grass, I fought another admin who used a level 50 Ho-Oh. Yeah, I'm gonna stand by what I just said a minute ago. Also in the grass, I caught a Porygon 2, who will be my 5th team member. I've never used one before, so I figured this would be a good opportunity. My newest teammate was already coming in handy in the Celestic Town gym, as Morty's Gengar didn't stand a chance. Down below Celestic Town, our rival already wanted revenge, but this time he only used his Vaporeon. I can see why he joined Team Rocket, he's just as dumb as the rest of them. On past him, the Kimono girls were randomly inside of a gate to the next route, so I knocked them out in order to receive the HM for Surf. I used this new move to travel to the PAL Park, where Ho-Oh was just chilling in the back. It wasn't too surprising though, as we've already seen multiple of them throughout the region. I needed to check out the PAL Park though, so that the entrance to Canalave City wasn't blocked anymore. Whitney was the gym leader here, but thank goodness her Clefable and Miltank weren't nearly as annoying as they are in the normal Johto games. Just north of Canalave City, I surfed to Iron Island, home of the 8th gym leader, Brock. His team was actually really cool, as it was based around his team from the anime, as well as him being a doctor. He had a Chansey, Forretress, Sudowoodo, Crobat, and Steelix, all of which were easy to deal with. After heading through the not-so-snowy route 216 and 217, I had to use the squirt bottle on the Sudowoodo in order to gain access to Snow Point City. In the northwest part of town, there was a Team Rocket base where I teamed up with the Lance to defeat Admin Catherine, who used a Lugia, Entei, and a Steelix. I can't believe I haven't lost one of these battles yet. Fittingly, Price became the gym leader of Snow Point City, and even though he had an Articuno, his ice types weren't too much of a threat. In the Snow Point Temple, our rival was back to having a full team of 6, but that didn't stop us from beating him for like the 20th time. Lower down in the temple, Lugia was sitting there, waiting to be caught. But I killed him instead. So yeah, my bad. In the middle of Route 222, there was another teleporter that sent me to a grassy field where only legendaries could be found. I don't know why this is here, but I did use my Master Ball on an Articuno, who will be our final team member. Sunyshore City featured a gym leader Jasmine, but even though her steel types were over 10 levels higher than most of my mons, I didn't have too many issues. Under the mart in Sunyshore City, Lance was taking care of a sick Ampharos, but of course he told me to go to the fight area in order to get the secret potion. On my way, I fought who I'm assuming was the leader of Team Rocket in the middle of Route 223. His level 68 Lugia was tough to defeat, but afterwards, he claimed that he would be disbanding Team Rocket. So I guess that's it? Really wasn't expecting the Team Rocket story arc to end that soon. Since the Pokemon League was blocked off, I used a teleporter to reach the fight area, where the mart with the secret potion was also inaccessible. Turns out this guy wants me to get an item from Stark Mountain first. Guess I'm just running errands for everyone around here. The gym leader here was Blue, and even though his Umbreon, Scizor, Nidoking, Blastoise, Arcanine, and Dodrio were all in the mid-70s, I still managed to take them out. Past Route 225 was the Battle Zone, home of gym leader Janine. Once again, her Pokemon were all in the mid-70s, but I had plenty of counters for her poison types. Alright, maybe Team Rocket isn't done for yet, because in the resort area, there were a few members that took over the Ribbon Society for whatever reason. I mean, nothing of significance happened in here, but I'm now very confused. The second to last gym was here, headed by Erica. She had a really annoying Celebi that took forever to go down, but other than that, it was an easy victory. Also in the resort area was this Pokemart that sold things like rare candies, EXP shares, and lucky eggs. Well, this game just became 20 times easier. Finally, it was time to make the trek up Stark Mountain, where I received the final gym badge from Blaine. In the room next to Blaine's gym, I woke up the legendary dogs as they proceeded to hop away. So I guess they're roaming around the region now? But what's the point of that? Because I could always just go back to that place on Route 222 and catch them in the wild. Anyways, I was now able to get the secret potion, which I delivered to Lance, meaning the Pokemon League is now open. Also, I love how Lance just phases through the wall here. A real champion move by him. It looks like the Elite Four remained the same from the regular Johto games, as Will was up first. Tyranitar was able to handle his first two Mons, while Blastoise took care of Girafarig, and Articuno beat Jinx and Xatu. Next up was Koga, and this whole battle was just a tag team by Porygon 2 and Zapdos. The third member was Bruno, who did have a Poliwrath instead of his usual Onix, which was a nice touch. However, the battle remained relatively simple. Karen was the final E4 member, and her team was weaker than I thought it would be, thanks to her owning Pokemon like Murkrow and Sneasel. So finally, it was time to dethrone Lance from the ranks of being the champion. He started with the Ampharos that he saved, or that we saved, but it got obliterated by Earthquake. Kingdra was a little tricky to knock out, but Zapdos eventually got the job done. Blastoise outlasted Aerodactyl, Articuno whittled down Gyarados, and Tyranitar OHKO'd Charizard. Last out was Lance's level 99 Dragonite, who couldn't withstand an Ice Beam from Articuno. Well, despite being around 15 to 20 levels lower than the entire Pokemon League, that was pretty easy. Time to find out if there's any post-game content. Spoiler alert, there's not much. As soon as I booted up the game again, Professor Elm told me to swing by his lab. He handed me another Master Ball that I will definitely use very soon. The only other thing that seemed to be offered in the post-game was a battle against Ash back near the entrance to the Pokemon League. His team was pretty unique, as it featured a level 99 Pikachu, Heracross, Charizard, Donphan, Bayleaf, and Kingler. I'm assuming this team was mostly based off of Ash's team from the Johto arc of the anime. Well, that is Pokemon Gold Sinnoh. I'll go ahead and say it, I don't think this ROM hack deserves to be called the worst one ever. Sure, it's not the best, but there's definitely worse ones out there. If you can ignore the very few annoying parts of the game, like seeing legendaries and random trainer battles, and the incredibly high wild Pokemon encounter rate, then this ROM hack is really enjoyable. It was cool to see what Pokemon Gold and Silver would have been like if the setting was in the Sinnoh region. I didn't mind the plot with Team Rocket, as even though it was a little silly, at least it was something new. And honestly, I didn't mind the broken dialogue throughout the game either, as it was pretty funny to read sometimes. So in conclusion, I'll give this game a solid 7 out of 10. For now though, have a great rest of your day, and until next time, deuces!